After NBA Youngboy's concert in New Orleans, chaos erupted on the streets as fans swarmed him, screaming his name. But things took a shocking turn when the cops came and dragged him away. Now word is, he's been banned from performing in Louisiana. So what led to this, and what happens next? Let's break it down. The New Orleans night that had the whole city going crazy. It's October 19th, 2025, and the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans is absolutely lit beyond belief. NBA Youngboy just hit the stage for his first performance back in Louisiana in 7 whole years, and every single seat in that arena is packed wall to wall with fans who've been starving for this moment like it's their last meal. Green lights, that's his signature color representing that never broke again mentality and staying solid through all the BS, are flooding the whole venue as the bass hits and thousands of voices start screaming in unison. This ain't just another concert, fam. This is straight up a homecoming for one of the realest, most streamed, and most controversial rappers in the game right now. But hold up, let me put you on game about what's really popping, because this whole situation is way deeper than just another tour stop. This New Orleans show was part of NBA Youngboy's massive tour. That stands for Make America Slime Again, if you ain't know. A crazy 45-date nationwide arena run that kicked off in Dallas back in September 2025 and was supposed to wrap up in Seattle in mid-November. We talking full production mode out here, supporting acts including heavy hitters like Offset, Tusi, and No Cap, lighting that transforms the whole spot into something out of this world, pyrotechnics going off like it's the 4th of July, and a set list pulling from Youngboy's absolutely insane catalog of over 26 albums and mixtapes. Bruh been dropping heat non-stop, and his day ones know every single bar by heart. Now here's where things get real interesting, my G. The New Orleans Police Department wasn't playing no games with security for this show. They pulled up deep, over 400 officers. You heard that right, 400 police, scattered across the French Quarter and Central Business District around the venue. We talking tactical units posted up everywhere, surveillance drones flying overhead watching everything, and even armored vehicles positioned strategically throughout the whole area. Why all that heavy presence though? NBA Youngboy's tour had already been wild as hell with drama, disruptions, and straight up cancellations in other cities, and New Orleans wasn't about to let their city turn into another headline for the wrong reasons. Feel me? The venue itself implemented a strict no-bag policy to keep everything moving smooth and reduce any potential security risks. No purses, no backpacks, nothing. Just you and your ticket, that's it. NOPD Assistant Superintendent Hans Ganthier even went on record publicly telling concertgoers to leave the guns at home, warning about the risk of whips getting broken into if firearms were left in vehicles. The message was crystal clear, no cap. They were taking every possible precaution to make sure this show went off without no smoke. And real talk, inside that arena, everything was smooth as butter. The show was absolutely fire. Youngboy performed banger after banger from his extensive catalog, mixing his raw, emotional style with themes of staying solid and street life that have made him one of the most watched rappers on YouTube with over 15 billion views. Fans were rapping every single word. The production was top tier with dancers in military fatigues and cinematic coffin entrances, and the whole vibe was nothing short of electric. The concert wrapped up around midnight, leaving thousands of people energized and absolutely buzzing from the experience. But yo, here's where our story really gets lit, and where things took a wild turn that had everybody talking for days. It was around 1 to 2 in the morning on Monday, October 20th, which just so happened to be NBA Youngboy's 26th birthday, when the rapper made a move that would create straight chaos in downtown New Orleans. Instead of heading to the crib or celebrating his birthday on the low, Youngboy decided he wanted to do something spontaneous, take a casual stroll through the streets of New Orleans. Rolling with a small crew of about 8 people, but notably without any dedicated security detail, he started walking near the intersection of Canal Street and Bourbon Street, 2 of the most iconic, heavily trafficked spots in the whole French Quarter. Now think about this for a second, bruh. You got one of the most recognizable faces in hip-hop, fresh off a sold-out arena show with thousands of fans who just left that venue still hyped up and roaming the streets. What you think is about to go down? Videos captured during those early morning hours show Youngboy dressed casual in a black jacket and sunglasses, walking confidently along Canal Street initially. At first, the vibe was relatively chill, just a few fans recognizing him, running up for quick flicks, shouting words of love and support. You can hear the excitement in their voices, the genuine emotion of seeing someone they look up to right there in front of them, accessible, and seemingly just enjoying his night like any regular person celebrating their born day. But word spreads fast when you got smartphones and social media, you feel me? Within minutes, literally minutes, what started as a handful of enthusiastic supporters exploded into hundreds of people converging on his location. The crowd swelled dramatically, spilling onto Bourbon Street. Suddenly, you got a dense mob situation developing in real time, with fans pushing forward desperately trying to get closer, shouting his name, reaching out to touch him, trying to get that perfect selfie or video. The gathering turned chaotic almost instantly, transforming from a cool, spontaneous street moment, into a situation where actual movement became restricted and potentially dangerous for everybody involved. Here's where those NOPD officers, who were already stationed throughout the area for the concert, came into play. They responded swiftly to this developing situation. Multiple videos from the scene, including footage from Project NOLA cameras and countless cell phones, show a dramatic police intervention. In one particularly viral clip that's been making rounds, you can see approximately 4 to 6 officers literally grabbing him by the arms, torso, and shoulders, carrying him backward through the crowd toward a waiting whip parked nearby. And the fans? They're absolutely losing their minds, screaming his name at the top of their lungs as police work to extract him from the madness. Now, what's interesting about this footage is that Youngboy himself appears somewhat resistant to the escort. He ain't fighting the police aggressively or nothing like that, but you can see he seems reluctant to leave the area so abruptly. This is his city, his people, his moment, and he's being physically removed from it. The intervention lasted only a few minutes total, with police successfully maneuvering him through that massive crowd without any use of serious force beyond the necessary physical guidance to get him out of there safely. No weapons were drawn, no aggressive tactics were deployed, just a swift professional extraction to prevent what could have easily escalated into a dangerous situation. The NOPD later dropped an official statement clarifying the whole incident. There was absolutely no criminal activity involved whatsoever. 0 arrests were made. This was purely, entirely, completely a matter of crowd control to ensure public safety, both for NBA Youngboy himself and for the hundreds of fans who could have been hurt in the chaos. The whole thing, from the moment the crowd started forming to Youngboy's departure in that whip, lasted less than 10 minutes. But those 10 minutes captured something incredibly powerful about the relationship between this artist and his fan base, about the raw, unfiltered connection that exists in a city that holds such deep significance for him. And here's the kicker. This incident didn't impact the scheduled second show at the Smoothie King Center on Monday, October 20th. That show went on as planned with similar security measures in place, and the NOPD kept that heavy presence throughout downtown and the French Quarter for the duration. Youngboy's decision to walk publicly through New Orleans highlighted his connection to his roots in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, the areas that have heavily influenced his music and made him who he is. The videos from that night show the crowd's energy as this incredible mix of celebration and overwhelming love, with fans rocking green-themed fits, reflecting his Never Broke Again brand, and cheers echoing through the streets. But while New Orleans managed to contain the chaos with that massive police presence and quick intervention, this incident was just scratching the surface when it comes to the absolute madness that's been following NBA Youngboy's tour across the whole country. The tour from hell, beef, brawls, and cities shutting it down. Alright, let's keep it a buck about what's really been one of the wildest, most controversial, and headline-grabbing tours in recent hip-hop history. The Massa Tour, Make America Slime Again, represents NBA Youngboy's first major headlining arena tour, a 45-date nationwide run produced by Live Nation in partnership with his Never Broke Again label. We talking massive venues, sold-out crowds in cities from coast to coast, and tickets ranging from $50 for the nosebleeds all the way up to over $500 for those exclusive VIP packages. This tour has been generating millions in revenue, showcasing Youngboy's absolutely massive commercial pull. But behind those sold-out shows and impressive numbers lies a trail of security nightmares, violent altercations, venue cancellations, and situations so wild that you honestly gotta see them to believe them. The disruptions started popping off almost immediately after the tour kicked off in Dallas on September 1st, setting a chaotic tone that would follow them from city to city. On September 10th, 2025, during the second stop at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, a straight-up brawl erupted among fans in the stands just as Youngboy launched into his hit track, Lonely Child. Videos from inside that packed 20,000-seat venue capture absolute chaos. Fans shoving each other, hands getting thrown, people tumbling over seats, and security rushing in from all directions trying to break everything up. The altercation involved multiple sections of the arena, forcing brief pauses in the performance as security worked to regain control. Surprisingly, no arrests were reported, and the show continued after order was restored, but it was an early warning sign that this tour was going to be anything but smooth sailing. Just days later, things got way worse. On September 21st, 2025, at T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Missouri, an incident occurred that shocked everybody and raised serious red flags about fan behavior and venue safety. Footage emerged showing a violent confrontation between a young fan and an elderly arena worker that would become one of the tour's most disturbing moments.
But at this specific concert in Kansas City, at the T-Mobile Arena, there was an elderly man in the video video that is seen being attacked by a younger guy, like a really younger guy.
Elderly man was at the show? Or
the elderly man was working at the arena. He was
security, right?
Yeah, he was security. They have a different name for him.
A 14-year-old fan allegedly jumped on a 66-year-old usher. Yes, you heard that right. A teenager putting hands on an elderly staff member, punching and kicking him in a viral video that spread across social media like wildfire. The venue's VP of Sales and Marketing, Shawnee Ross, dropped a statement emphasizing the injuries sustained by multiple team members who all needed on-site first aid before being transported to the hospital for further treatment. The footage was immediately handed over to local law enforcement. The juvenile was detained that same evening, and the case was turned over to prosecutors. This wasn't just some minor scuffle. This was a serious assault that raised immediate questions about age restrictions, venue security protocols, and the intense, sometimes volatile energy that NBA Youngboy's concerts generate. But the most significant disruptions came in the form of straight-up cancellations, often tied to legitimate safety concerns surrounding Youngboy's highly publicized beef, particularly with Chicago-based rapper Lil Durk. The beef between these two ain't just rap lyrics and social media posts. It has real-world implications stemming from the tragic 2020 death of King Von and subsequent violent incidents. The most high-profile cancellation went down on September 24, 2025, when Chicago's United Center abruptly canceled NBA Youngboy's scheduled show just one day before it was supposed to happen. The venue's official statement cited their inability to guarantee the safety of concert attendees following intelligence about potential violence linked to the ongoing beef. Think about what that means. A major venue in one of America's biggest cities making the decision that they literally cannot ensure people won't get hurt at this show. Fans who had already copped tickets, some of whom had pulled up to the arena grounds before the announcement, were turned away. You can imagine the frustration, the anger, the disappointment. Youngboy's manager, Alex Jr., publicly called out the venue on social media for a last-minute bailout, expressing frustration at the decision and its impact on fans who traveled from all over. Refunds were issued through Ticketmaster, but the damage to the tour's momentum was significant. And here's an interesting detail that industry insiders explained. Even though the show got canceled because the venue pulled the plug and not Youngboy's team, he still got his bread, the full fee, merchandise projections, and reimbursement for travel expenses for his entire entourage.
And they wanted to do the show. It got canceled abruptly by the venue. So because they didn't cancel, and usually if you see how these contracts read, is only time you don't get paid is if you don't do your deliverables, or what they call is like an act of God, like the building blow up or something, right? But no, they made it so they got paid.
The security challenges kept mounting as the tour progressed. On October 13th at Colonial Life Arena, Youngboy had to dead his performance mid-set after a fan kept throwing objects, possibly bottles or clothing, onto the stage. You can hear the frustration in his voice as he addresses the crowd directly over the mic. "This is a Youngboy show. Don't play with me tonight." Security swiftly removed the individual from the venue, and after a tense 5-minute pause where you could feel the tension in that arena, the concert resumed. But moments like this add to the narrative of turbulence energy, requiring Youngboy to assert control over his audience in ways that mirror his defiant persona. Then came Atlanta. On October 15th, 2025, the situation at State Farm Arena nearly fell apart completely when a confrontation unfolded at the VIP entrance between Youngboy's entourage, including high-profile guest streamer Adin Ross and his security, and local police. The situation escalated to the point where officers actually denied entry. Tensions boiled over with shouting and physical posturing caught on video, and for a minute it looked like the show might not happen at all. Ultimately, cooler heads prevailed, de-escalation occurred, and the show went on, but the damage was done. By October 17th, lingering fallout from this clash led to the full cancellation of a rescheduled Atlanta date, with officials citing unresolved safety risks. Throughout all of this madness, there have been countless smaller incidents that paint a picture of just how intense these shows have become. Brawls have broken out during multiple performances, with viral clips showing full-on fights in pit sections during high-tempo tracks. Fans have literally rushed the floor sections at multiple venues, overwhelming security guards stationed at stairs leading down from upper levels, running down and taking whatever seats they wanted because they were so desperate to be closer to the stage. There's video of this happening, security getting absolutely overpowered by sheer numbers, fans picking up chairs and moving them, creating their own seating arrangements. And then there are the incidents involving the ongoing beef with Lil Durk that add an extra layer of tension to every single show. At shows in Newark and New Jersey, fans who dared to show support for the rival rapper faced immediate and violent consequences consequences from Youngboy's supporters. Fans who yelled "Free Dirk" or "Free Smirk," Dirk's nickname, got immediately confronted by Youngboy's entourage and nearby supporters. One viral video shows a fan getting absolutely jumped by multiple people after shouting out Dirk's name, leading to a brief but violent scuffle that security had to intervene in before it spiraled completely out of control. To address these mounting security concerns, venues and local authorities have had to implement increasingly extreme protocols. We talking metal detectors at every entrance, extensive bag checks despite no-bag policies, increased police patrols both inside and outside arenas, and in some cases like New Orleans, literally hundreds of officers deployed throughout entire neighborhoods. The financial incentives are massive. Each show potentially generates millions from ticket sales, merch, concessions, and parking, which is why stakeholders like Live Nation have continued pushing forward, rescheduling where possible, and absorbing the costs of cancellations. Despite all the disruptions, totaling at least 4 full cancellations and numerous security interventions across dozens of cities, the Massa Tour has maintained its momentum. By mid-October 2025, Youngboy had performed in over 30 cities, adapting his approach by incorporating positive fan interactions, stopping shows to break up fights and deliver messages about unity, and maintaining the high production value that fans expect. But to really understand why NBA Youngboy's tour generates this level of intensity, chaos, and unwavering devotion from the streets, you gotta understand the man himself and the journey that brought him to this moment. The real one behind the madness, NBA Youngboy's impact on the streets. To really get why NBA Youngboy's tour generates this level of intensity, chaos, and unwavering loyalty from the hood, you gotta understand the man himself and the journey that brought him to this moment. Born Kentrell Deshaun Gaulden on October 20th, 1999, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Youngboy came up in circumstances that would break most people: a pop serving a life sentence for murder, a mother battling addiction, raised primarily by his grandmother in a cramped Section 8 apartment in one of the most dangerous parts of the city. This wasn't just being broke, this was straight survival mode every single day, navigating a world where violence was normalized and opportunities were virtually non-existent. He discovered rap at age 11 through YouTube tutorials, using a cheap $200 mic plugged into his grandmother's old computer to record his first verses in her living room. That DIY approach, that raw, unpolished authenticity, became the foundation of his sound, a hybrid of trap's booming production, melodic auto-tune that carries genuine emotion, and aggressive flows that can shift from introspective whispers to aggressive bars in the span of a single verse. His production choices favor sparse, haunting beats with piano loops and eerie synths that mirror the emotional isolation captured in his lyrics, creating songs that feel less like club bangers and more like late-night confessions from someone who's seen too much too young. From those humble beginnings in the trenches, Youngboy's output has been nothing short of extraordinary. He's dropped over 26 albums, mixtapes, and EPs since 2015, accumulating billions of streams across platforms. We talking 20 billion plus Spotify streams, a YouTube channel with 10 million subscribers, generating over 15 billion total views, making him the platform's most watched rapper ever, and a work ethic that's borderline obsessive. Even during periods of house arrest and being locked up, bruh has continued releasing music at an almost impossible pace. Over 100 songs dropped while he was confined to his Utah mansion under federal supervision. But it ain't just the quantity, it's the content that resonates so deeply with his fan base from the streets. Youngboy's lyrics occupy this fascinating space of duality, glorifying the hustle and grind of street life while simultaneously dissecting its soul-crushing toll. He raps about stolen whips, poles, and dreams of millions in tracks where over triumphant production, he delivers bars about going from the block to the top while his mama's crying, but he's buying her a house with his bread. These aren't just flex lyrics, they're survival stories, rags to riches narratives that double as instruction manuals for young people navigating similar circumstances in the trenches. The "never broke again" mantra isn't just a brand or a label, it's a whole lifestyle that permeates everything he does. It represents defiance against poverty's grip, resilience in the face of systemic adversity, and an unwavering commitment to breaking generational cycles. His fans embody this philosophy completely, pulling up to concerts wearing elaborate fits with oversized hoodies emblazoned with slime emojis, green-themed attire from head to toe, and custom kicks painted in neon green. The visual uniformity at his shows is striking. It's like walking into a living, breathing extension of his aesthetic, where tens of thousands of people have collectively decided to represent this movement. His fan base base, often self-identified as YNs, short for young niggas, skews heavily toward teenagers and young adults from urban, underserved communities who connect viscerally with his messages about poverty, betrayal, resilience, and emotional vulnerability. When Youngboy performs live, these aren't just concerts. They become communal experiences, collective exorcisms of pain, and celebration of survival from the hood. Fans know every single word to songs that capture their lived experiences, rapping along with a passion and intensity that's genuinely moving to witness. Critics and fans alike have compared the devotion his generation shows him to how previous generations viewed legends like Tupac or Lil Wayne. That's how deep it goes.
And what he's doing at these shows,
it ain't just the shows. That's what me and you had this argument a long time ago. No, not me. Zaire was up here too. But yo, they love like the way the generation after us looked at Wayne.
Zaire compared him to Tupac, and
is how they look at Youngboy though.
I get it.
He's that nigga. Like they would die for this nigga for real.
Yeah. Clearly.
Reviews from tour attendees consistently describe the atmosphere as cult-like in the realest way possible. Collective sing-alongs that feel like family reunions from the block, where every lyric becomes shared catharsis for personal struggles echoed in Youngboy's confessions of anxiety, loss, and determination. One fan from Ohio recounted on social media how the experience felt like belonging to something bigger than himself, how being in that arena surrounded by thousands of people all experiencing the same emotions through the music created this sense of connection that's increasingly rare in today's world. But this intense devotion has a flip side, no cap. The same passion that creates beautiful moments of unity can also amplify territorial instincts and dangerous behaviors, particularly when rival rap beef enters the equation. The ongoing beef with Lil Durk, rooted in the 2020 death of King Von and perpetuated through diss tracks, has transformed concerts into proxy battlegrounds where fandom becomes a test of loyalty. This isn't just heated arguments. We talking actual physical violence and security having to intervene before situations escalate to potentially deadly outcomes. The demographic reality adds another layer of complexity. Youngboy's appeal to Gen Z and younger millennials, many under 18, brings a volatile mix of unfiltered passion and impulsivity to venues often ill-equipped to handle it. These are shorties who see Youngboy as this larger-than-life figure who represents everything they want to be, successful despite the odds, unapologetic about where he's from, defiant in the face of authority, and sometimes that admiration manifests in ways that mirror the violence and aggression romanticized in the music itself. Yet amid all the chaos and controversy, there are profound moments of positive connection that reveal the redemptive potential at the heart of this fandom. Throughout the Massa tour, Youngboy has repeatedly paused performances to de-escalate fights. We family here. Put that energy in the music, not each other. These interventions work. The lights come back on, the crowd resets, and the show continues with renewed energy, focused on celebration rather than violence. He's invited fans on stage for birthday shout-outs, gifted bread from stacks of cash pulled from his pocket, and continued his tradition of unannounced donations to local communities. In Atlanta, city officials surprised him mid-performance with a peace pledge presented by State Representative Ingo Willis and other community leaders. Youngboy was visibly emotional, dedicating the encore to the kids watching, trying to make it out, tossing signed merch into the crowd and hugging fans at the barrier. Bruh's legal history adds yet another dimension to his mythology, from juvenile detention for robbery at age 15 to attempted murder charges in Austin that resulted in an aggravated assault plea, to the infamous 2018 Miami hotel incident where surveillance footage captured him dragging his then girlfriend across a lobby by her hair, to federal firearms charges that led to a dramatic 2021 FBI pursuit and arrest. Youngboy's criminal record reads like a cautionary tale. His federal case, which the FBI internally labeled Operation Never Free Again, in what his lawyers called a prejudicial jab at his brand, resulted in house arrest in Utah, where he allegedly ran a prescription drug fraud operation. The charges eventually resulted in federal sentencing, 23 months for firearms violations, followed by an early release to a halfway house in March 2025, and ultimately a controversial presidential pardon from Donald Trump in May 2025 that cleared his record and allowed the Massa tour to proceed. Critics called it undeserved leniency, while supporters from the streets framed it as restorative justice for a black artist targeted by systemic prosecution. Every arrest, every controversy, every scandal becomes woven into the fabric of his music and his appeal. Fans don't view these incidents as disqualifying character flaws. They see them as evidence of authenticity, proof that Youngboy truly lives what he raps about. His vulnerability in addressing these struggles through his music, tracks where he grapples with regret over violence's toll on his family, or bars about talking to God while the devil whispers in his ear, creates emotional resonance that turns concerts into something deeper than entertainment. As of October 2025, with the Massa tour more than halfway complete and streams surging 30% post-New Orleans, NBA Youngboy continues to prove that his influence extends far beyond music. He's shaping behaviors, molding a generation's emotional vocabulary, creating a subculture that's as much support system as fan base from the trenches. Whether you view him as a victim of circumstance or an architect of his own chaos, there's no denying the profound impact he's having on hip-hop culture and the lives of millions of young people from the hood who see themselves reflected in his story. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.